Language of Caring helps healthcare organizations achieve an unparalleled patient experience and a culture of caring through exceptional communication.
How do you set high accountability? And again, consider this behavior continuum. On the left is the column for unacceptable or objectionable behavior. It's behavior that is not okay with you as a leader or as an individual. It's the things that you say to yourself, we know they're wrong, we're not going to permit it, and there are definite consequences. And if I asked each one of you to consider what that might be in your world, you know where they've crossed the line, what the consequences are. In our world, in patient care, it has to do with hitting a patient. It has to do with some type of violence. Those things are pretty clear. There's a policies for that. If you look at the far right in that green area, these are the acceptable behaviors. Those are the things that we say, man, they are great. It's okay. It's good enough. These are the behaviors we're trying to get everybody to go through. What I want you to focus on is this middle column, this gray area. We know it's negative, but it doesn't happen all the time. It's inoffensive, not impressive, but you know what? It didn't really cause any trouble. And we know it's unacceptable because you tolerate the fact that if you do something about it, it might not be a good outcome. And I think for most of you out there, what you're thinking about is that, you know what? If I hold that staff member accountable, then if she loses her job, then we're going to be short-staffed, and you go there. The other piece in this gray behaviors is what has become normalized. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about normalization of deviance and normalized behaviors. So some examples of what's unacceptable. And you can make your list as well. So be thinking as I'm going through this for you as a leader, as an individual, what are those unacceptable behaviors that you won't tolerate? Seems simple, staying on a personal phone call while a customer waits. Yet that happens to us all the time. When we go to a retail store and we're trying to connect and that person's on a call and you know they're on a personal call and they kind of put their hand up to stop you like, well, just a minute, I'll be with you in a minute. Or in our world, if we're bad-mouthing another department, and how often have you heard one employee say, well, you know what? If the lab would just get the results back quicker, then we could take care of this. Or if PT would just get that patient up, then I could do my job. If nursing, and you begin to throw each other under the bus. That's unacceptable. We know it, and yet it happens. The other one, for me, is certainly, and I hope for you, is for anyone to say, it's not my job. That's unacceptable. Well, let's look at the far right. That acceptable behavior. Boy, do we want to jump up and down and celebrate when somebody responds to a complaint and you take care of it and you nip it in the bud and you do that service recovery even before it gets there. When someone answers a call button quickly, or for any of us that are working in teams, when someone comes to your rescue and helps you with something, those are acceptable behaviors that build a high accountability culture. The middle ones. Well, you know, Susie's kind of rude sometimes, but not all of the time, so I'm going to look the other way. Well, I don't really, the staff doesn't really introduce themselves to a patient all the time, but you know what, it's okay, because they do it some of the time. It's this some of the time behavior that gets you in trouble. And certainly behavior that's devoid of caring is sometimes accepted because it's, they're getting the tasks done. Well, how are we going to shrink the gray? And that's what we talk about. And some of you have already heard this kind of presentation from us, and I want to take it deeper. So in order for you to shrink the gray, you have to deal with yourself. We have to deal with our own feelings and resolution about the fact that it's okay to hold someone accountable and set expectations. We have to stop wasting the time and energy feeling frustrated about why they didn't do and they didn't perform the way we wanted them to, and we have to do something about it. We have to manage it. The only way that we're going to move people from good to great is by making the gray behaviors unacceptable. And that sounds simple, and that's a hard thing to do for all of us.